Hey everyone! Never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here we are. My name's Ryan, I'm 38. My wife Emily is 34. Together for almost 10 years, married for 7. We weren't perfect, but I genuinely believed we were solid. The kind of couple that survives rough patches because there's still respect underneath. The trip to the mountains was her idea. Fresh air, snow, no phones, no stress, she said. Just us, like when we first met. I wanted that badly. The last year had been heavy. Work, bills, emotional distance that neither of us wanted to name. She'd grown sharper with her words, quicker to get annoyed. I'd grown quieter. Still, I told myself this was normal. Long marriages don't feel like movies. We rented a small chalet near a ski resort. Wooden walls, fireplace, snow piled up outside like something from a postcard. The first night felt good. Wine, laughter, her legs tucked under her on the couch. She touched my arm, smiled at me the way she used to. I remember thinking, yeah, this was the right decision. The next morning, we hit the slopes. Emily was always the better skier. Confident, fast, fearless. I like to take my time, enjoy the view, feel the cold air burn my lungs. On our third run, I pushed myself harder than I should have, trying to keep up with her, trying to be impressive, trying to be the man she married instead of the tired version I'd become. I caught an edge wrong. Everything happened in seconds. Loss of balance, a sharp twist, a sound I'll never forget. Pain exploded up my leg, hot and immediate. I collapsed into the snow, screaming before I even realized I was. Emily skied up, annoyed at first, until she saw my face. "Ryan, don't move," she said, suddenly serious. The medics confirmed it fast. Torn ligaments, no more skiing, crutches, painkillers, rest. Back in the chalet, I lay there with my leg elevated, useless, watching her pace the room. "I'm so sorry," she said, but her voice didn't match the words. "I'm so sorry. This trip was supposed to be fun." I laughed weakly. Not exactly how I planned it either. She nodded, already distracted. That night, she mentioned the resort bar. "They have live music," she said. "I might go down for a bit. You should sleep." I didn't think twice. I should have. The first night after the accident was brutal. Painkillers dulled the edge, but every small movement sent a reminder up my leg that I was officially useless. Emily came back late from the bar, cheeks flushed, smelling like alcohol and cold air. She said it was loud, crowded, nothing special. She kissed my forehead, not my lips, and went straight to the bathroom. I didn't think much of it, not yet. The next day settled into a strange routine. I stayed inside with my leg propped up, watching snow fall outside the window like the world was mocking me. Emily got dressed early, makeup, fitted ski jacket, hair done in a way she hadn't bothered with for months. "I'm going to ski a bit," she said, tightening her boots. "I won't be long." I smiled. "Go. Don't waste the trip because of me." She hesitated for half a second, then she nodded and left. She came back hours later, not tired, not sore, energized, talking fast, laughing at things she didn't explain. She said she met some people on the lift, a group, nothing serious. I noticed she didn't say who. By the third day, it was obvious she wasn't slowing down at all. She was gone most of the day, skiing, après-ski, bars. Just one drink, just hanging out. Meanwhile, I learned every crack in the wooden ceiling, every sound the heater made, every way pain could change shape. What bothered me wasn't that she went out. It was how little she checked on me. No "how's the leg" texts, no rushing back, no guilt. When she did come back, she'd talk about the slopes, the music, the people she met. Always vague, always incomplete. Her phone never left her hand. She'd smile at messages and tilt the screen away without thinking. That night, she got dressed again.
"There's a bonfire near the lodge," she said casually. "Everyone's going." "Everyone?" I asked. "Just people," she replied, already pulling on her coat. I watched her leave, the door closing softly behind her. That's when the thought crossed my mind, quiet, unwelcome, but sharp. If I hadn't gotten hurt, would she still be here with me? I told myself I was being paranoid, that pain messes with your head, that I was projecting insecurity onto normal behavior. But somewhere deep down, something had already shifted, and it wasn't going back.
That night, sleep didn't come easy. The pain in my leg pulsed in slow waves, but it wasn't what kept me awake. It was the silence, the kind that feels louder when you know someone else is out there living while you're stuck counting minutes. I checked the time more than I'd like to admit. Midnight, 12:40, 1:15 a.m. She hadn't texted once. Around 1:30, I dragged myself out of bed and crutched my way to the window. The chalet overlooked part of the resort courtyard. Fire pits, string lights, people bundled in jackets, music drifting up in bursts of laughter and bass. And then I saw her. Emily stood near one of the fire pits, drink in hand, body relaxed in a way I hadn't seen around me in months. She was laughing, real laughter, head tilted back, shoulders loose. A guy stood close to her, too close. Tall, broad shoulders, probably late 20s. He leaned in to say something, and she touched his arm as she laughed again. That small gesture hit harder than the fall on the slope. They weren't just talking. They were comfortable, familiar, like two people who had already decided the night was theirs. I told myself I was overthinking it, that people touch when they talk, that ski resorts are social places, that I was in pain and vulnerable and reading too much into body language. But then he put his hand on her lower back, not for balance, not briefly. It stayed there. She didn't move away. She shifted closer. My chest tightened in a way the painkillers couldn't touch. I watched as they walked off together, disappearing toward the bar at the edge of the courtyard. She didn't look back once, not toward the chalet, not toward the window where her injured husband stood leaning on crutches like an afterthought. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at nothing, trying to talk myself out of what I'd just seen. I wanted an explanation that didn't end with betrayal. I wanted this to still be something I could fix. When she came back around 3 a.m., I pretended to be asleep. I felt the bed dip, heard her boots drop on the floor. She smelled of smoke and alcohol and something unfamiliar, like freedom. She slipped under the covers and turned away from me. No apology, no whisper, no guilt, just distance. Lying there in the dark, leg throbbing, heart racing, I realized something that hurt worse than the injury. She wasn't waiting for me to heal. She was already moving on.
The next morning, she acted normal. That was the strangest part. She made coffee, asked if I needed more painkillers, even fluffed my pillow like she was playing the role she thought I still believed in. "How'd you sleep?" she asked. Fine," I lied. She nodded, already halfway back to her phone. I stopped looking for proof that morning. I didn't need it anymore. What I needed was to understand how far this had gone. There's a difference between suspicion and acceptance, and I crossed that line quietly, sitting there with my leg elevated and my pride somewhere on the floor. Emily got dressed again. Same effort, same care. Lip balm, mascara, the jacket she never wore back home. "I'll be out most of the day," she said. "The snow's perfect." "With him?" I asked. She froze. Just for a second, but it was enough. "With who?" she replied, too quickly. I shrugged. "Never mind. Go."
She studied my face like she was trying to read something new in it, something colder. Then she smiled, tight, cautious, and left. This time, I didn't stay inside. I moved slowly, painfully, down toward the lodge. I positioned myself near the cafe window, out of the main flow of people, and waited. It felt pathetic and powerful at the same time. I hated that I was here. I hated that I needed to see. They showed up together around noon. No skis, no rush, just walking side by side like they'd planned it. He handed her a coffee before she even asked. She leaned into him while talking, her shoulder brushing his chest. He said something that made her laugh, and she touched his arm again. Same place, same gesture. Patterns matter more than moments. They sat close, knees touching. His hand rested on her thigh briefly, then stayed there. She didn't correct him, she didn't pull away. She just kept talking, smiling, alive. I took my phone out, not shaking this time. I didn't need to record long. I just needed enough to remind myself later that this wasn't in my head. When they stood up to leave, she kissed him, quick, casual, public. I felt something inside me go quiet. No anger, no panic, just clarity. I went back to the chalet alone. That evening, she came home humming. She talked about the snow, the view, how this place really does something to people. She didn't mention his name. She didn't mention the hours she was gone. I didn't confront her. I started planning. Once I stopped reacting, everything became easier. For her. Silence is a dangerous thing. When you stop fighting, the other person thinks the war is over. She thought she'd gotten away with it. I became agreeable, quiet, supportive. I told her not to worry about me, that the pain was manageable, that I was just happy she was enjoying the trip. I said things that sounded like trust, like forgiveness, like love. And every time I did, I watched relief wash over her face. Relief, not guilt. That told me everything. She stopped checking in on me as often, stopped pretending to be worried about leaving me alone, stopped hesitating before going out. That uneasiness she had in the beginning, gone, replaced with something almost careless. That night, she barely even pretended anymore. "There's a party at one of the lodges," she said, pulling on a sweater in front of the mirror. She adjusted her hair twice, changed her lipstick color, turned to the side and checked herself again. Not for me. Never for me. "Just people from the resort. I won't be late." I nodded, reluctantly. "Have fun." She paused, and in that pause I saw everything. She looked at me like she was expecting resistance, anger, suspicion, jealousy, something to make her feel like what she was doing was dangerous. But when none came, she smiled, not nervously, genuinely, like I had blessed her. Then she left. The door closed. The chalet went quiet. Snow kept falling outside like the world didn't care what was happening inside it. For a moment, I just sat there, listening to the clock, the heater, the strange stillness in my chest. I waited 10 minutes, long enough for her to believe distance meant safety. Then I followed. Not straight to the party. I didn't need to. I knew how this place worked. I knew where the music ended and the shadows began. I positioned myself near the path leading from the lodge toward the darker trail that cut through the trees, the shortcut people took when they didn't want to be seen walking together publicly. The snow crunched quietly under my crutches, my breath fogged in front of me. Somewhere far away, music thumped, laughter drifted. But here in the trees, it was darker, colder, honest. They came down the path together. There was no hesitation, no maybe it's innocent angle anymore. His arm was around her shoulders like it belonged there. Her hand was tucked into his jacket pocket like she had done it before. Their bodies leaned into each other naturally, like this wasn't new, like I was the stranger in this story, not him. They stopped near the trees. They weren't joking loudly this time. Their laughter was quieter, closer, private, the kind you only share with someone you feel safe with. My heart didn't pound. It sank. Not because she cheated, but because it was easy for her. I didn't interrupt. I didn't shout. I didn't make a scene. I recorded. Not from far away, not like a spy, close enough to hear the soft sound of her laugh, close enough to see their faces clearly, close enough to know that no one in the world could tell me, maybe you misunderstood. When they kissed, it wasn't desperate, it wasn't wild, it was slow, familiar, like a habit, something she chose. She leaned in and whispered something against his lips. I couldn't hear it, but I didn't need to. I already knew the meaning. Comfort, reassurance, promise. I lowered my phone, turned around, and walked back. The snow felt quieter on the way up, the night colder, but inside me, everything felt strangely steady, solid. The disbelief was gone, the denial evaporated. There was only clarity. In the chalet, I packed my essentials calmly. Wallet, passport, phone charger, a few clothes, every movement deliberate. Crutches leaned against the door, like a reminder of everything I had carried, not just physically. By the time she finally came back after midnight, flushed and smiling from her party, the room she expected me to be in was empty. The bed was made. My things were gone. I wasn't there.
I didn't leave the resort. I just moved rooms. There was something important about staying. I didn't want to run or disappear. I wanted to be close enough for reality to catch up with her. Morning arrived quietly. Soft light through the curtains. For a few seconds after waking up, I felt nothing at all. No anger, no sadness, just a strange calm. Then my phone started vibrating on the nightstand. Missed calls, messages stacked on top of each other, panic wrapped in concern. "Where are you? This isn't funny. Please answer." I didn't respond right away. I wanted her to sit with it, that sinking feeling when the ground shifts and the lie stops holding its shape. I took my time, showered, let the hot water run, got dressed slowly, ate breakfast alone by the window, watching the mountains stand there, massive and indifferent, like nothing in my life could actually disturb them. Only when I knew the fear had settled in did I send one message. I saw you. I recorded it. We're done. No insults, no explanations, no room for debate. She showed up at my door about an hour later, eyes red, face pale, hands shaking as she knocked. When I opened the door, she broke down immediately. Apologies, tears, words tumbling over each other. Then the excuses came, the injury, the distance, the loneliness. Somehow it all circled back to me. I listened, calm, detached. When she finally ran out of things to say, I spoke once. I didn't trip, I said quietly. You chose this. She searched my face for something, anger, hesitation, forgiveness. There was nothing there. She left angry and humiliated, not because she loved me, but because she'd lost control of how this ended. The guy from the lodge never showed up. Not that day, not ever. Funny how fast people disappear when consequences arrive. I finished the trip alone. Long mornings, hot showers, quiet meals, slow walks through the snow. The mountains were still beautiful,
still indifferent. And standing there, breathing in the cold air, I realized something simple and final. I wasn't holding on to the marriage anymore. It had already let go of me.
Back home, it ended cleanly. The house was mine, the accounts were separate enough, the truth was simple enough that no one argued it. She moved out with excuses and stories that didn't stick. The guy? He stopped answering her messages within a week. Turns out he liked the version of her that was convenient, carefree, unattached, not the real one. My leg healed slower than my head, but it healed. So did something else, my ability to trust myself, to listen when something feels wrong, to stop blaming injuries, stress, or time for choices people actively make. We went to the mountains to reconnect. I came back lighter. If you're reading this and you're injured, physically or emotionally, and someone uses that moment to step away instead of stepping up, believe what they're showing you. Some people don't wait for you to heal. They wait for an excuse to leave. And once you see that clearly, walking away becomes easier than staying broken.